Hey everyone, I'm Burton Young with Barracuda Tackle. I'm making a video today on cast net selection. We get a million phone calls all the time of what cast net you need and when you need it. So we wanted to make a video explaining our cast nets, the mesh sizes, and what really matters to make those cast nets effective for you. The number one question we get asked all the time, every day, we get at least 3 phone calls. Somebody calls up and says, hey, what is the one cast that I need to catch bait year round? I don't want to buy 2, I just want to buy 1. It's kind of like walking into a tackle store and saying, hey, what rod can I use to catch trout and then go offshore and catch grouper with it? There's not an answer to the question. It doesn't exist. Sure, you can find things that will work. You can use a heavy tackle rod to catch trout. You may not feel them bite. You may not feel them hit. You may not be very successful, but you can do it. So I'm coming on here today to explain to you guys cast nets, why we make different sizes, why we have over 80 SKUs of cast nets in our inventory that we make, and how these nets can work for you. One of the most frequently asked questions in cast nets is, what mesh size do I need? Barracuda, we make a number of different mesh sizes. We make 3/16, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/4, an inch and an eighth. On different locations, you won't need all of those mesh sizes, but you will need at least 1 or 2 of those mesh sizes. In Tampa Bay, the 2 most prevalent mesh sizes you're going to use are going to be 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch. If you're in the Carolinas, 5/8 inch, 1/2 inch is going to be some of your most frequently used nets. But I'll go over why you use them and what you use them for. The first one I'll cover is 3/16, just to get this one out of the way. This is a very popular mesh size for the Keys. It's very small. What they use this for is glass minnows. Glass minnows are great for yellowtail snapper. They're great for chum, a number of different things. So down in the Keys, they love to use these 3/16s. They call them mahua nets. Up here, we call them glass minnows. Down there, glass minnows called mahua. Next size is 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is great for the whole entire west coast of Florida during the hatch. About 3 months out of the year, you have a hatch going on where you have very small baits. If you use a bigger size mesh, you're going to gill those baits. So you'll see a lot of people go to 1/4 inch during that time. The downfall to a smaller mesh net is sink rate. The smaller your mesh, the slower the net's going to sink. So when the hatch is going on, it's great to use a 1/4 inch. But when those baits start to get bigger and they start to get faster, that's when you move up to like a 3/8 inch mesh. 3/8 inch is your general purpose mesh. We sell most of the nets for bait that we sell are 3/8 inch mesh. It's a bigger mesh that works great for minnows, whitebait, pilchards, scaled sardines, whatever you want to call them, from 2.5 inches on up. Sinks fast because the mesh is a little bit bigger. We can use a little bit heavier line when we make that cast net, which makes it a little bit more durable. So 3/8 inch tends to be your workhorse for the entire west coast of Florida, even down to the Keys and up the east coast of Florida. 3/8 is pretty much the most used mesh size that you'll find. We do have 1/2 inch out here. 1/2 inch is going to be your faster moving baits. Thread fins, when your thread fins get really big and you're trying to get those tarpon baits, great size mesh for that. It's just a bigger mesh, but if you use this during the wrong time of the year, you're going to end up with what we call a Florida Christmas tree, which is a net with tons of bait with their head stuck into it, and you're going to have to clean that out. It's never any fun. Now that we've covered some of the mesh sizes, I'll talk about length. Length really comes down to personal preference and your ability to throw a cast net. I always tell people, if you're a healthy adult male, you should be able to throw a 10-foot net. There's no reason to go any smaller than 10 foot unless you're throwing in a restricted area as far as the width that your net can actually open. If you're in dock lines, if you're in creeks with a lot of branches on the bottom of it, it's a reason to go with a smaller net. But for the most part, you should be throwing a bigger net. Like I said, a healthy male should be around 10 foot. The length is going to affect a number of different things. You throw a 10-foot net. When we say 10 foot, we're talking about the radius. So the length of the net, when you pull it out of the bucket like this, is going to be 10 feet long. When you throw that net, it should open to 20 feet. That open area gives you a better chance of having success catching bait. So if you have a 20-foot area, the bait starts off in the middle. They got to swim 10 feet to get out in any direction to get out of that net and not end up in your bait well. So a 10-foot net's going to give you a 20-foot spread. A 12-foot net's going to give you a 24-foot spread. You go down to one of our 7-foot nets, you're only looking at a 14-foot spread. 7-foot net is great for smaller individuals. If you have children who are trying to learn how to throw a cast net, it's a great place to be. Texas, I'm sorry, everything's bigger in Texas but cast nets. Your laws say you can't throw anything bigger than 7 foot. So you're kind of restricted down to that 7-foot net. That's one of the main reasons we actually came out with a 7-foot net. And for places like Broward County and different areas of Florida that actually have restricted the size. I think Ohio, you're restricted to 5-foot nets. But the length is definitely going to be a huge factor in your success on catching bait. It's also going, but once again, it does come down to your ability. We do have a video coming out here very shortly on how to throw a cast net. This is the easiest way to throw a net with the least amount of effort. It's going to be put together by one of our captains. We're going out to actually shoot it next week. So that should be up fairly quickly, and hopefully you can watch that. You can learn how to throw a 10-foot or larger net. The next thing that's going to affect how a cast net performs for you is the amount of weight. You'll see at Barracuda we have 4 different series of nets: inshore, flats, pro, and custom. Those 4 series of nets are defined by the weight. So a flats net's going to weigh in at 0.8 pound per foot. Ultralight, longer leads. The canopy is actually designed in a dome, so it's not going to open. When I say a 10-foot net opens to 20, on a flat set it's probably going to open about 17 feet across. But what that dome does is it allows the 0.8 pound per foot, that light lead, to get to the bottom and capture the bait in shallow water very quickly. It's a great net for the flats. Less grass is going to come on your boat. You're not going to get wore out throwing it. You can throw it all day long and really never even notice it. And that's a 0.8 pound per foot. 1.25 pound per foot, what we call our inshore series. The inshore series was developed to catch those baits down to about 8 feet of water. It sinks fairly quickly. All of our nets are going to outsink other nets in their class. It's the way we make the mono, the way we make the mesh. We have a proprietary monofilament that actually sinks. That mono does a great job of helping it go down faster. So 1.25 is great for baits up to 8 feet of water. The Pro Series, 1.4 pound per foot net, is the series that most of our guides use, most of our professional fishermen use. It's heavy. It does great on the markers. It does great at the bridges. It's not as heavy as you can go. We do make the custom series, but it is going to work very efficiently at getting those baits for you. The next series would be the custom, 1.6 pound per foot. It's our heaviest net. It is the limit at which a 3/8 inch mesh is going to efficiently sink. I know that's hard to explain. We do have underwater video coming out of sink rates of cast nets and what happens. But the physics of a net, if you think about it, all the lead is on the outside of the net. You have nothing but friction mesh monofilament in the middle. When you throw that net, the first thing that's going to try and do is close up on itself. There's a point of diminishing returns, as I call it, when you hit that 1.6 pound per foot net, where if you go any heavier, it's going to close so fast it becomes inefficient at catching bait. We have, like I said, some video coming out of 2 pound per foot nets and what they actually do. Sure, it sinks like a stone. The issue with that net is that it closes insanely fast. Typically, we found that a 12-foot net and 12 feet of water with that 2.0 pound per foot, can't say it, I'm having trouble here, guys, is going to close on itself in that same depth. So 12-foot net, 12 feet down, it's about 40% open still. So it's not actually catching bait at a deeper depth. If your bait's at 25 feet, your net's not going to be open really much at all by the time it gets down there. So there's an efficiency that goes with it. And that's why when Barracuda came on the scene about a year ago, everybody started going, wow, these nets are catching bait in deeper water. Why is that? We did underwater video. We dove with our nets as they were going down. We watched that net sink, and we figured out there's a point where if you put more lead on, if you put too much on, if your mesh is too thick, if you're using monofilament that's way too thick for the mesh itself, it's going to cause those inefficiencies. That's going to cause the net to close up on itself, which is why we have so many raving fans out there about the Barracuda, is because it does work in those deeper waters. So we've covered mesh size, we've covered the weight of the net, we've covered the length of the net. Those factors are really going to be, it's going to help you select a net. Is there a silver bullet? Can you use a heavier net in the flats? Yeah, you can. You're going to bring a ton of grass on your boat. You're going to bring a ton of dirt on your boat. You're going to wear yourself out throwing on bait that's in 2 feet of water. You don't need it. If you wanted to buy one, I guess I'd say buy the heaviest one you can possibly throw, and buy a 3/8 mesh size and just deal with the gilling and deal with the dirt and deal with the inefficiencies. Just like if you use that trout rod to catch grouper, probably going to break the rod. It might survive. It might pull them off the bottom, but it's going to get some abuse out of it. Or if you use the grouper rod to catch trout, you're not going to feel the hits. You're not going to feel the bites. You'll get some trout to the boat. But it's going to give you some issues. It's going to give you some problems. So think about a cast net like you think about all your other tackle. If you use live bait like I do, I love live bait fishing. I love fishing artificials, don't get me wrong. But if I want to catch a lot of fish, if I want to catch more species of fish, I'm going to use live bait. And using live bait means using a cast net, means using the right cast net for the job. If you have any questions that I haven't answered here, feel free to go to our website, barracudatackle.com. Feel free to call us up. You can reach out to us. We have a couple people who work for us who really know cast nets inside and out and can give you the right answers for what you're looking for and what you need. But yeah, stay tuned. Watch for other videos coming out. We're getting ready to launch a series called Bait University. Bait University is a 6-video series that we're putting out with a couple other supplements where it's really going to teach you how to throw the cast net, how to find that bait, how to keep the bait alive, how to fish the bait. It's a really cool series with some great captains that are putting in the time to actually do this with us. And that should be hitting, the first video should be out next week. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Once again, Bert and Young, Barracuda Tackle. Have a great day.